for the April to June quarter are out, and it is clear that around the world, this China virus impact has hit economies of every major country, whether it's the US, Japan, Singapore, UK, France, Germany, and including India. Our numbers show that we have been hit by about 23.9%. The economy has contracted by that much. And predictably, there are some people out to characterize this as, as something political and something more than what it should be, which is that it is an expected and anticipated impact of an economy that had the dual whammies of the coronavirus and the consequent lockdown that was imposed on various economies. The first thing that happened in March was the declaration of a lockdown, and that lockdown was very important for the country's health services to ramp up, create capacities for this pandemic. But the lockdown had obviously very important side effect, which is that a large part of the economy went into almost complete shutdown. And therefore, it is very important to understand that the economic activity for almost 4 to 6 weeks of the 12 weeks of that quarter of April to June was near zero, except for parts of the economy that were like telecommunication, electricity. Large parts of the other productive real economy had been shut down. Mining, quarrying, manufacturing, exports, non-agricultural products like fisheries, food retailing, retail, travel, hospitality. All of these sectors that contribute significantly to our GDP were shut down. Estimates are that about 65 to 66% of the economy was shut down in the month of March. And in the month of May, that number reduced a little bit. But because there were lockdowns in the month of May as well, we can safely assume that for about 4 to 6 weeks of this quarter, there was an almost 65% lockdown. And then the month of June, as the parts of the economy started opening up, the non-inactive components of the economy were about 15 to 20%. Now, if you just do the math, and 2019-20 was, let's say, 228 lakh crores was the GDP, saying 12 or divide that by 4 to get a quarterly number. The estimate of a 60-65% shutdown of the economy for 3 months, i.e. 1 quarter, leads you to a number around 18 to 20 lakh crores. And 20 lakh crores represents about 30 to 35% of the economy that would have just not been there. So the GVA, it is like saying that when a business is shut or an activity is shut, there is no output. So you can imagine that if 6 weeks, a large part of the economy is shut down, we effectively lose a large chunk of that economic activity, which is, let us say, 20 lakh crores. And 20 lakh crores would have represented about 30% for the quarter. So the number 23.9 that we've seen actually shows that the economy performed better than the worst case scenario of 30 to 35%. It's important that everybody understands this because, in this climate of politicking, people tend to look at these numbers without understanding what caused the loss. The loss of the gross value added or economic activity was a direct consequence of the shutdown of various parts of our economy due to the China virus impact, pandemic. And the shutdown was both in terms of the trade and supply chain activities as well as demand and consumption. So be informed and be aware that, in my opinion, that we have done better than the worst case scenario for our economy. And now it is time for us to start rebuilding this economy and rebooting this economy and getting back slowly and steadily to the pre-COVID levels of economic activity as more and more of our economy